And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel. And today we're going to be talking about, this is episode 350. If you're joining us for the live stream, welcome. Everybody is welcome here at 100 Watts and a Wire. So many things to talk about. And I think I'm going to break it down and get a little heavy on you. And I know you're saying, oh, see, child, I know, I came here for the diodes. I came here for my SWRs. Well, Andy, I get it. I understand. But Christian, I was here for the show on inclusion. Everybody's welcome at 100 Watts and a Wire. Yes, that's true. That's very good. It's true. I'm trying to be a better man. I was here when you did the show on diversity. Specifically, the ladies and the people of color. That's right. That's great. I'm trying to be a better man. Trying to. That's right. That's what we're trying to do. That's awesome. Well, Christian, I was here when you did the show featuring the blind. And you told the manufacturers of the ham radio gear, you need to be thinking about people with disabilities when you make your gear for ham radio. And that's true. That is all true. And Christian, I was here for 6 weeks when you partnered up with another ham to try to find a man a kidney, a living donor for a kidney. 6 week special event raising awareness. That's right. We did that too. I'm trying to be a better man. Well, all of that stuff is very important. And there's some things going on that we need to talk about. I think it is a show that is rooted in radio, but we're living a life. And there's a lot of things going on in life that we probably need to share. We talk about it. Not just the digestive health that you hear about on 80 meters. And I think all that's important too. You're pretty good friends if you can talk about your digestive health. So we encourage that as well. But what brought this up? I'm going to talk about something heavy and I need you to hear me. So hear me. And we're going to talk about the mind a little bit today. The mind of you and the people around you and how important it is. This came up a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this brother, Richard Wagner, right? 61-year-old guy in Erie, Pennsylvania, who had 37 charges against him for misusing his license, misrepresenting amateur radio, the FCC, the whole nine. And at that time, bomb threats, terroristic type things. And at the time, I remember our community was saying, look, he needs to go. He's got to go to jail and take his license and maybe rehabilitation, whatever, but he's got to go. He doesn't represent us. And I think we were all like, yeah, that's not good. Well, this guy goes to court. Now, I said 37 charges. The prosecutors drop all but 2. The judge in the case decides, okay, the money side of this is $250,000 bond. He lowers it, the judge, to $25,000. And I imagine you pay 10% of that and you're out. You're back in the public. The stipulation was, you can't get out there and misuse your radio again on any device. You can't misuse any device. And they were going to remove the equipment from his home. So, and thanks to Brad, Kilo Charlie 3, Bravo Hotel, India, who sent this follow-up story. Because the guy in Erie went right back to it. It didn't matter that he had 35 cases or what do they call it? The situation, whatever it was, he had 30 counts. 35 counts were put out, right? He's on the plus side. And on the money side, it's a plus. He goes back and he gets pulled back in again. Another $175,000 in bond. This is the last week of March. And I thought, when I read this from Brad, he put it in our Discord. I was like, this just doesn't sound like a person who's thinking rationally at all. This sounds like a problem. And as much as you want to just say, you big dummy, whatever you want to say about a situation like this, it's probably not right. And we're not even thinking about him specifically. 14 new counts. So this brother basically went home and made more threats. All kinds of transmissions to get himself in all kind of trouble. Threatened the judge, threatened the prosecutors, threatened to blow up buildings. This is after he was shown leniency. And I think it's pretty clear. I mean, tornado warnings, all kinds of emergency stuff. And yeah, we're all back to like they did in France. There was another case in France recently, if not last week, but last few weeks. And they decided to take the ham, 1 year in prison. You're suspended for 2 years, your license, and then you'll be put on probation. This is the Versailles court. And then you've got a financial burden. So that's what they did there in France. So essentially, this guy in Erie, Pennsylvania has welcomed all the charges back again, essentially. And I thought we need to talk about this a little bit because mental health is a serious thing that we all will deal with, either with ourselves, our loved ones, people we know. Luckily, our community has some smart people in it. So I want to introduce you to Meredith. There's Meredith. Meredith is also an amateur radio operator. She is Kilo Charlie 3 Sierra Echo Papa, KC3 SEP, and has just elevated the show by being on it. So thank you and welcome, Meredith, for coming.
Thank you. How flattering.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You're a mental health counselor, and I had a few basic questions. I think it's always important that we ask or lay a good foundation. And I'm curious, we talked about the case. There's probably much more going on with this guy, and we can't really speak to his condition, of course, but we can see the pattern of behavior, at least, to recognize this. Let me just ask you first. This was not a question that we had planned out, but does this sound like a candidate to you that is dealing with something a little bit more than your average person?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And when I read the article, it happened to list his home address, and I was curious. And he actually lives in Section 8 government subsidized housing, which indicates there's some poverty there. And that's a whole other show, but poverty and mental health kind of tend to create a very vicious cycle that's hard to break. So yeah, like you said, I've never met this man. I'm not going to diagnose him, but it does seem that there are some pretty severe issues going on. And when we hear things like that, I think we do kind of jump to what is wrong with this person. There's a great clinician researcher named Dr. Bruce Perry who argues that we should say what happened to them because these behaviors don't come from nowhere. Most typically, there's been severe trauma, neglect, abuse in childhood, and that actually changes the architecture of your brain. So when we're looking at people with personality disorders and very extreme behaviors, usually they have a history of a pretty unfortunate early start in life. So they're difficult to deal with, but it also kind of, when we frame it that way, I think it helps us have some empathy as well.
I mean, there are times, and this is just my opinion here, and I'm not leading you at all, but I feel like my generation growing up, mental illness was not something that was openly discussed. And I think there's a demographic in amateur radio that is aging up, of course. It's considered to be a couple different things, but it's an older demographic. And I'm thinking to myself that this is probably something that they grew up not wanting to talk about or recognizing, or that's just, I've had them in my family where that's just Uncle so-and-so, and, you know, it's just whatever, and we don't really talk about that. I mean, literally those words is we don't talk about that, and certainly not here. And you're like, okay, got it. I want to ask you, though, how can we recognize the signs of mental health issues in others?
So I think the key word here is change. If there are people who are changing in front of us, changes in demeanor, are they withdrawn? Are they sleeping a lot more? Are they sleeping a lot less? Are there changes in appetite? Are they no longer doing or enjoying activities they previously found engaging? Are they is there an increase in substance use, which kind of is a way for people to numb out difficult feelings? Self-care could be another indication. Are they not dressing the way they did, staying clean? They could also be verbalizing feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, excessive guilt, excessive self-criticism. And I think it's more common that we see things on that depressive end. But there's also the manic end. So someone might be very restless. They could express very grandiose ideals, unrealistic plans, not sleeping. So that's on the other end. And anger is also one that we've seen, and that we see in the gentleman that you mentioned. That can be overlooked, especially in teens, but that also is a symptom of depression. And there's a great graphic that I like to use that has the metaphor of anger as an iceberg, because anger is really typically an easier feeling for us to access and express. But underneath anger is usually much harder things to say and express to people. So shame, guilt, fear, whatever. So I think those are the big things, would be to look for changes in those affects. If it's not someone you know already, then just seeing those behaviors in other people can kind of indicate that there's some issues going on with them.
This one seems like a case where it's like, to me, and I know nothing. I was like, wow, but there's definitely something bigger happening on with this guy.
Yeah,
This is very self-destructive. He
right.
he had some, really good things happen to him. I mean, giving what he had done, a lot of things were like going in his favor. He probably could have cleaned this up and things would have been better, but he couldn't. He couldn't, and he went back
Yeah,
for and did it again. It was very self-destructive. And we talked
yeah.
about what we can see in other people. In that case, is probably very easy. There could be subtle things that happen in others. What about ourselves? Is there things? Is it the same for the identity in others as it is for ourselves? Because we tend to put walls up, and it's kind of, we have a whole different thing when we analyze ourselves, so to speak. Is there a way that we can start to see signs in ourselves?
I think for the more typical issues, absolutely. And they would be the same thing. I mean, I think that we know when we kind of feel like doing anything, and we're not enjoying things, we're tired, and we don't see people or talk, or we're feeling blue. And also just kind of noticing, what's our self-talk like? Are we being very hard on ourselves and unkind to ourselves? So yeah, we can recognize it. I think again, if you're getting to more severe personality type issues, and it does trace back to early childhood, where I mentioned, literally the brain has changed, then it can be harder to recognize, because you're not looking at yourself, your brain's not functioning in a rational way. But for the more typical people, yeah, we can kind of recognize when we feel off and not great mentally.
Just want to let our audience know, if you have a question, you could always send that to us. We have a form. You can send it between shows. If you're here in the live stream, you can send questions. Just put a Q in front of it. And maybe I can send those to Meredith. If they're mental health related, I'll pass them on. The last thing she wants to know is that Christian, a guy, is sending me more questions. I thought I had enough. We did one thing. That was enough. But I will forward those, and maybe we can get answers if you're interested in that. Put a Q in front of your question, and we'll pull those. But the last one for you today that I had is, what are the first steps? Say we identify it in our brother, our family member, our friend, or even ourselves. What are the first steps? What should we do?
I think if someone is pulled to seek professional help, and I do think, you're talking about the stigma, I think that's going away, thankfully, for a lot of people. Um, Absolutely, I wouldn't hesitate to seek it out. Realistically, depending on where you live and what your insurance and finances are like, it's not very easily obtainable for everyone. But my very first appointment with clients, I talk about the foundations of mental health, which are really lifestyle. So sleep, exercise, diet. What does it look like in your life? And if you're not sleeping and you're eating garbage and you don't feel like moving, you're not going to feel great mentally. So we can start with those things, and they can be very effective. Sometimes as effective as antidepressants for people. If you're not able to do any of that, if you're feeling so low that you just can't get off the couch, then I think it's time to find a professional counselor, even talk to your PCP if you can't get in with a mental health professional. And sometimes just being on medication then allows you to tackle those other things and makes it easier. And I also tell people, start with small, realistic changes. Don't tell yourself, all right, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. No, go for a walk around the block. That helps. So I think starting with lifestyle is a good thing. Don't hesitate to seek professional help if it's available in your area. And even just talking to a friend, opening up, it can feel really good to just sort of unburden yourself with what's going on with a trusted friend or family member.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for your time today and your expertise on the topic. And you're welcome to come back at any time. It's
Thank you.
Meredith, Kilo Charlie 3, Sierra Echo Papa, mental health
Can I
counselor.
have
Yes.
one more thing I forgot
Take
to
it
say?
over.
There are also there are wonderful books, articles, podcasts out there about mental health too. So I think that's thing you can do for yourself very easily.
I appreciate all that. And,
Yeah.
talking to, this is very men-based of a certain age or in amateur radio. It doesn't mean that's only, but,
Yeah.
it's a lot of guys in this, and there's a lot of people who won't talk. So I think your point about talking to friends and people you trust,
Yeah.
that can maybe help you. So
Yeah.
that's great stuff.
Yeah. I get it. It's intimidating to reach out for a lot of people, and I understand that. So
Well, thank you
baby
so
steps.
much. Enjoy
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
your weekend. We appreciate you. As we say,
Thanks. You too.
7-3. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Well. All right, Scotty. Scotty is here. Let's see if we can do this. Scotty's got some information to share with you about the contest, and then we'll pick some things up as we go. Go ahead, Scotty. Kick it.
All right, we got a lot of QSO parties happening this weekend. We got the Nebraska QSO party, the New Mexico QSO party, Georgia QSO party, North Dakota QSO party. We have Texas State Parks on the air, so that ought to keep folks busy. I know I need North Dakota, so I'm going to be getting in on some of that action this weekend. So yeah, be a lot of fun going on there.
All right.
Bunch of
got-
airwave fun.
You got more? You got more?
No, that's it for now.
All right, very good. All right. Oh, cut the music. I don't know. That was pretty sharp. Oh, but I've got to do one now. Oh, it's the first vocal on your lyric sheet. Oh. Let's talk about LDG Electronics, family owned and operated. They've got the Ballons, they've got the Unnins, they've got your analog meters. And if you're looking at me, look at that. That's a sexy analog meter by LDG. You'll put that in play tomorrow night as we get cooking with the Sunday Evening Net. And of course, the world famous tuners. They've got the tuner there to tune a fish like the REO Speedwagon record. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. LDG can tune a fish and a piano and your random wire. Visit them online, ldgelectronics.com. Everywhere you look, there's an LDG. Oh, boy, I don't know how I manage to stay on time. You got the lady in the room. She's got the big brain. I'm thinking to myself, just stay together. Maybe I should wear a tie. I don't know what to do. But there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. I didn't get to check on the chats there, but I consider us to be a show that's rooted in radio, but we're all living a life and we're all dealing with things, and we're dealing with our family members who are having issues, and we're dealing with all this stuff, man. So life in amateur radio is basically what you're going to hear about. Steve, let me pass it over to you. I'll get a drink of coffee. Say good morning to everybody who's joined us live in the chat here. We appreciate you. Again, put a Q in front of your question. Anything, family, life, radio, it's all good. Steve, what did you make of that?
Thank you, Meredith, for joining us today. That was great, and it was kind of opened up my eyes a little bit in that way. Just kind of keep an eye on friends and family and a few others, and hopefully be a place to where, hey, if you need something, tap me on the shoulder. We'll see what we can do to help you. But really appreciate it stopping by. And good morning, everyone. It's been another crazy week at the work QTH as usual, but had a little snow overnight, and looks like we got some more snow coming here. So, but it's like I know it's April, but it is what it is.
40 degrees here at game time, and we had snow flurries. It was too warm down below for it to do any sort of sticking around. But man, we had it. I'm like, oh man, second year in a row where it snowed in April. Scotty, GB, any ideas, any thoughts of how that segment with Meredith went? I mean, if she showed any interest, I'd have to let you go, right? Because
Hey,
right?
I could dye my hair blonde, like hers. Try to keep my job.
Oh,
No, that was an excellent segment. Excellent segment. As some of the things we were talking about, especially keeping yourself in check. I find myself I've hit the 50-year mark in my life, and looking back and kind of down on myself a little bit about some things that didn't pan out the way it was, and questioning my choices, and it's an easy spiral to go down, unless you keep on top of it. And I take a little walk, like she suggested. That really helps kind of keeps my mind clear.
Yeah.
Excellent segment.
For me, I had kids, so my kids become, no matter what, you gotta, you put it on, you shine it on, and you got a purpose. It's a whole different thing for me. But yeah, I could say, like, I grew up in a time where I couldn't have, as much as I love my father and influential, he was one of the toughest men I ever had met in my life. And had he lived past 58, he would still be the toughest man I ever met. And it wasn't something you go and say, Dad, I'm kind of dealing with an issue, go put on a helmet, kid, and go out there and chop down a tree, and
Suck it up, bro.
suck it up. You gotta, and you didn't show that. And I think maybe we've, I don't know, we've outgrown it. It's just become more, of a thing. So anyway, in our community, you got to talk about things that will matter and affect your life and could affect your radio. We talked about this brother here in Erie who is clearly, now it's like we were so early into just throw him in jail, and whatever happens to him happens to him. And then the second case, 14 new cases after some really big leniency like ranges where it was actually good for him. He probably had $2,500, got out back in society. You can go back to work. You're not looking at something so bad that you can't overcome. Not enough for him. And I was like, oh. And I think I wrote to both of you guys, and we got it into Discord. It was like, this is bigger. This is bigger than just a guy losing it. It doesn't take too many minutes on 7,200 to go. There's a lot. And I'm guilty of poking fun at these guys because the stuff they say, you're like, wow, that is just, but I think probably a good majority of those folks, they're sick, man. They're sick. They got each other, and it sounds like, wow. So anyway, I'm thinking a little bit beyond put them in jail. And hopefully it helps somebody. So if you're struggling with that, I don't know if it helps, but it's good to hear from people who know these things and see these things. Self-diagnosis is pretty damn hard,
Yeah.
Well, denial comes into play. So it's like,
You're never
no,
wrong.
I don't have a,
We're never wrong.
I'm not the problem. Everybody else is.
You have the problem, sir. Oh, no, maybe it is. Maybe it is you. Anyway, you're welcome to comment on that in any form you want. You can send me an email. Now we can talk about diodes and SWR if you like. But I want to thank the new members. We have new members that have joined, subscribed for as 100 watt. They're 100 watt sustaining members. That's what I wanted to say. Danny, Kilo, November 4, Delta, Papa, Alpha, and Carson, Whiskey, Quebec, 1, India. Both have signed up to be sustaining members. We appreciate you. All the money and support we get through donation and sponsorship go back into the show to try to put this on for you each week. So we appreciate that. And Mark, Kilo Charlie 3, Juliet, Tango, Foxtrot, he's a renewal. He's come back again. Now, I don't know why, but he did come back. So we appreciate all of the support this week as that goes. Thank you very much. And speaking of Mark, he's one of the very interesting people. I want to start talking to people in our community who do interesting things. It's one thing to talk to the stars and to see You know, I'm a people person. I'm interested in the people and what they've done and what their life is like and that sort of stuff. And I think in a little bit here we'll meet Mark, and you'll see that this guy had an interesting profession. So speaking of that, let us know if you had an interesting profession and any sort of that sort of stuff. Then drop it in the chat. Tell us what you did. We're curious to see what you have done. And I guess I got a couple of minutes, and it kind of leads into the misconceptions. I was interested. This might be a bigger topic, and maybe I've gone too far today in the mental health side, and we should just throw a tighter spiral here. But I'll ask you guys first, and if it comes up again, we'll go deeper into it. But I asked our community about the misconceptions of amateur radio, and I talked with Meredith just slightly, a little bit. Our demographics are aging up, right? We're seen as a kind of dinosaur type of hobby and waka waka. And that demographic is the ones we're talking about, like my father and older, who are not putting feelings out there and that kind of stuff. So a misconception may be that, you know, you can't talk to anybody. Maybe that's a misconception. We get into other different misconceptions where people are like, oh, it's like CB radio and like that. For you guys being here on the show, Steve, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about amateur radio?
Oh, it's just, your grandfather's hobby, and, you're stuck in the basement, and you're just antisocial. All you want to do is talk on the radio. And it's most of that is, I think, people just not understanding the hobby and what it's about. Pretty much people, are revolved around the cell phone and newer technology, and they view amateur radio as old school, old technology, and it's like, well, oh wow, that's nice that you talk to someone in Kuwait, but I could do that with this, and they pull up their cell phone and stuff like that. So it's and it's a lot of that, and it's the old guy in the basement or whatever. So it's there's a lot of misconceptions of it.
What do you guys think that are here that are in the chat today? You can go ahead and put that in there. And of course, people listening to the audio podcast, you can send your stuff. We invite you always to come to the show while it's recorded live here. For now, I think it's a good thing, and it's fun to have you here. What do you guys think here is the misconception of the biggest, or one of the biggest misconceptions about amateur radio? Put it in the chat here. Scotty, what do you think? What are the misconceptions about amateur radio?
In the circles that I run in, it's they always immediately make the connection to like trucker CB radio, like Breaker 19, good buddy. You talking to your trucker friends? No, I'm talking to some guy in a park in Michigan. Like, what? And then when I get to explain to them a little bit all the different aspects, satellites, some of the digital modes, WinLink, and they're like, I can send a short text message through my APRS, and they're like, it kind of blows them away. But yeah, the initial conception is like, oh, my grandfather, he had ham radio, and yeah, it's kind of, I think, similar misconceptions for everyone.
Yeah, maybe we're seeing things change. A lot of new technicians are here. We're probably going to see a demographic change. We've got silent keys all the time. It's just so hopefully we're cultivating the new young folks. I got a guest coming up here, but first Scotty's going to tell you about. I'll give him a second to pull it up on his screen here, because if I throw it right to him, it's off the shoulder pad. It's one of those. I was almost. Hold on now. All right, Scotty's here with some special events and Hamfest. Let's see if I can do this right. Oh yeah. Hey,
nice segue. We got Des Moines Radio Amateur Association Hamfest. It's a big one, April 23rd. So that's happening on April 23rd in Des Moines. We have April 16th, the Raleigh, North Carolina Hamfest, also a nice one on the East Coast. You get some info there at the arasfest.org. And a cool little special event, sort of a de-exposition. We got HC1MM and HC1MD going to be active from the Galapagos Islands.
Nice.
Between April 7th and April 14th. They're working all the HF bands, CW, single sideband, FT4, FT8. So that'll be a fun one to chase down.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, now it is time for us to meet our guest here. Steve, I think you will recognize this brother. Here he is. If I can get him in his frame. Where is it? Lean into me there, brother. All right. Very good. Mark is here. He's Kilo Charlie 3, Juliet, Tango, Foxtrot. And thank you so much for re-upping on your membership. We appreciate you. It's not the reason why he's here. There is some small print in the agreement, so he has to come on and get his 10 minutes or whatever. No, it's not that. It's that
15 seconds of fame.
we've been talking about in our Discord about a trip. We talked about Phil, who's the 83, 84-year-old Navy veteran who checks into our nets on Sundays. He has an antenna issue. We were all going to deploy to go help him. And then we'd say, well, we'll swing down south and we'll catch up with Gummy. We'll catch up with Gummy. We've got friends in Maryland. Maybe we'll stay. And the next thing you know is like, here's some accommodations. And all of a sudden, Sidecar's like, yeah, man, the Brown Hotel sounds like a good place to stay. And Mark, you want to talk about the Brown Hotel for a second? I don't know. Do we want to stay there? Uh-oh. I don't hear on my... Let me check on my side. Oh, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry, buddy. All right, Mark, tell us about the... Hey.
The world's famous Brown Motel.
You muted yourself. I'm muting you. Oh, dear. Let me stop here. All right, so you're muted on your end. What do you know about it, Steve?
Oh, it's from what Mark has told me on Discord and and the pictures. It looks like a fine 5-star establishment.
Mark is still, he's on the mute. Oh, man.
On the mute.
We'll get
Don't
you.
be-
You
don't be
unmute.
shy.
You unmute and then yell at us. See. But anyway, I want to talk to him about his career because his career is, to me, fascinating.
Oh, God, yes.
He drove around limousine and he had some very high-end clientele. And not that I want so much the dirt, but I think that ham radio operators are so interesting. But he may not want to talk about it. This could still be the, what is it? The statute of limitations may still be going. But that's why he's continuously muted right now. That's all right, man. You poke around some buttons and just shout when you get there. So, Scotty, everybody's talking about, the Brown Hotel. Is this, I'm getting it feels like a little bit of facetiousness that this may not be a 5-star and it may indeed be something a little less than that. What do you know about this? Because, we're trying to ride in style, man. We went public, millions of dollars on the line, high profiling and styling and all these sorts of things.
It's probably the finest motor lodge in all of Maryland. Dare I say the entire country. The Browns Motel is a little S-hole along Route 40 on the edges of the Patapsco Valley State Park as you're coming from Baltimore County into Howard County towards Ellicott City. It is famous for its hourly rates, its daily rates, and its weekly rates.
I'm going to at least need 8 hours. I mean, I don't know. Why would anyone need 1 hour of rest?
Yeah,
it's known for its angle as the rooms of the world. So each of the hotel rooms or motel rooms has a different sort of a decorative vibe, like Paris or Africa or something like that. And it's
So which one is your favorite there, Gummy?
Well, being a European descent, the Paris room is quite nice.
Paris.
I've honestly actually never stayed at the Browns, but
that's what you tell us.
Interestingly enough, after the 2016 floods, the Howard County government actually put displaced people from Main Street up at the Browns Motel to give them a place to stay temporarily. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, it's you drive by it on the highway and you're just like, what? I don't think I'll ever be staying there.
Greg says, sounds like it might be a, quote, no-tell motel. Oh, it's like that. Ben says, sounds like a happening place. So there
Ben's
you go.
Been there.
Yeah, Ben's been there. Ben may actually own
Ben's
it.
been there.
Ben, he may actually have a share in it if you. So Mark is still in our guest room, but I think we're still having some audio issues. So
no.
So we may have to we might have to bring him back because I really want to hear these stories. He's driven around some of the most famous people in the world during his time. So we can, we'll bring him back. So don't worry, Mark. We're going to have you come back, brother. Thank you for all of that. And let's see what we can do because we got some questions. We've even considered running a little overtime today because we got in such a heavy topic. It's like, all right, we'll kind of open it up, put the key under the door there for you, perhaps after the show. Let me first tell you about. Oh, it's the Brown Hotel, baby. We got 3 good windows. The 4th one is, well, it's always open. You never know when you need those 3 steps. Give me 3 steps, baby.
And we'll give you some courtesy cockroaches.
Oh, dipped in chocolate.
Yeah. Dipped in chocolate, yeah. Instead of having little mints on the pillow bed, we'll have some chocolate covered.
It's a delicacy, baby. Let me tell you about Bioenno Power. What a terrific segue. They have nothing to do with the Brown Hotel. Nothing like that. So sorry, Bioenno Power. If you're looking for a power solution, check out Bioenno Power, offering the best lithium phosphate batteries for your ham radios. Let's go activate the Brown Hotel, baby. I just can't help myself. Visit bioennopower.com, BIOENNO power.com.
I still think, Scotty, you need to go down and do a special event at the Brown Hotel,
We could actually probably pull off a POTA activation there because it's 3/4 of its property boundary is Patapsco Valley State Park, K1588.
Yeah, just set up in one of the in the Operi room and run your antenna out to the into the park and
just throw it into the woods and
you can take care.
CQ
and you just run it for a few hours and you're good to go.
CQ Rooms of the World on the air.
We're Rooms of the World. I like worked all rooms. Oh, man.
Worked all rooms of the Brown Motel. Yeah, baby.
Thinking about being the Ellicott
We'll
City's
get some
250th
QSL cards
birthday,
printed
I'm
up
thinking
for it.
about doing a special event station from Main Street for Main Street Music Festival in the fall.
Ellicott
That's
City.
part of our 250.
I got a good friend that came from Ellicott City, a terrific artist. So, yeah, but we got to find a way. We do this activation and we head out there and do some stuff. I can't imagine staying in there. What happened?
CQ Rooms on the air.
The fourth window is a peep show window. All right. This part of the program brought to you by Glory Hole. Glory Hole. Come on. Sorry, Sherry.
Damn.
Now who's got the problems? I got the problems. I got to call Meredith back. All right. This is a good time for us to take some of your questions here. Me and Sidecar Steve. If you have a cue now about anything, anywhere, from SWR to STDs, I think we can handle that. Now,
All Brown Motel questions go to Scotty. So
yeah, Scotty's got to be the authority of telling you that.
Yeah, he's the local knowledge.
Rooms on the air, says Pastor Joe. How bizarre is it that we have a pastor hanging out here as we talk about all of this? The world has changed, okay? The world has changed, people. We got a hip pastor that I think it's a case study. He's just taking notes, and he's like, yeah, I got to tell, this is part of my sermon. Yeah, this is not
And he's
normal.
working on his doctorate thesis, so, he's just studying us.
He definitely needs help. So Rooms on the Air will be hitting a radio near you. All right, this is the time of the show where we invite you to ask your questions. If you're here, put a Q in front of it. Again, any question is fine. We'll try our best to help you. We want to give you tools and tips and practical solutions for your amateur radio needs, get you on the air, and hopefully you can reach your goals. You ready, Steve?
Let's go.
First question this week. Would it be better? Here's one that we pulled off from the weekend. Okay, last weekend. And Adrian is a new member of 100 Watts in a Wire. And the question, it was so big and broad, I was like, I have to take it to the show because more people will see it. What would be better to get first? A beam antenna or an amp? And I think Scotty and I both almost fell over like, oh man. Because this right here is a question that There'll be many different answers, and I gave him a pretty good look at what you'll probably hear from us. But let's start with you, Steve. This guy says, what would it be better to get first, a beam antenna or an amp?
Go with the beam. That's the first thing you want to do. The amp is going to be your last item because a beam is going to work both in your transmit and your receive. And an amplifier only amplifies your transmit. So if you can't hear the people that you're trying to work, and all they hear is you still can't make the QSO. So the old adage is, if you can't hear them, you can't work them. So go with the beam, improve your antenna system to the best that you can under your circumstances, then think about getting an amplifier. But I would go with the beam first.
It's hard to beat. I mean, it sounds like a good luxury. I'm excited for you that you have the option. I'm an options guy. I love it. I've never been able to just be like, it would be one or the other for me. And it was wire antennas off the bat. And everything you will hear, most people say, get your antenna, man. It's all about the antenna. These guys with thousands of dollars worth of radios and the crappy antenna systems. This is what you would hear on the radio. So I think overwhelmingly, and we can ask our friends here to tell us what they think. You can do that in the comments or send us a message. But what would you get first, a beam or an amp? My progress was the antenna. I still don't have a beam, but I made sure that my antennas were tight too. How about you, Steve? You didn't get it all in one bucket, did you?
No. I improved the antennas as much as I could, and I got the beams first, and then eventually got amps and amplify. 40 years, 45 years in the hobby. I would say the last 10, 15 years is when I started investing in amplifiers or getting amplifiers. Prior to that, it's been beams, wire antennas, and just try to improve that portion of it first, and then worry about the amplifier later.
Right on. Thank you for that question. Hopefully that helps, and we'll see you on Net Night. All right, turning our attention to question number 2. I've never heard a ham say their employer's name on the air. Why? Is that part of Part 97? That's from Greg.
Nah, I don't think it's from Part 97. There's nothing in there. It's other than, you can't play ham radio and get paid for it. And that's kind of changed a little bit. But I think it's, I don't talk about my employer. I mean, I'll bring it up and I'll mention it. But for the most part, I think people are just kind of keeping it close to their vest. But it's, maybe amongst your friends, you'll talk about it. Oh yeah, I work for this utility, and for me, I work for Puget Sound Energy, which is a electric and gas utility. So, but other folks they don't want to talk about it. So it's not really common, but I would think if you ask someone, they would probably tell you.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost a privacy thing, or you didn't want to say anything bad about your employer. Most people wouldn't want to do that. They're talking about what they do. I've heard people talk about where they worked, or they worked for Motorola and they retired from Boeing, or wherever it may be. But there's not anything in the law that says you can't. It's probably more privacy.
It's, we have a tendency, all of us will have a bad day, or, things are not going what we think is well at work, and we might be kind of ragging on the work. And some people just don't want to, advertise that, my job is pretty crappy and this and that, and my boss is an idiot, or that blah, blah, blah. And then, in the world of doxing these days, who knows? I don't hear people talk about it, but then every now and then I hear, guys, if they were asked where they work, and they'll say, yeah, I work for so-and-so.
All right. There you go. Hope that helps you. Thank you for that question. We've got another one here. How can I tell, this is a good one here, how can I tell if a lightning arrestor is still good in a used antenna switch? This one comes from John. Many times we go to Hamfest, we pick up something on a table. some things you can test. I'm a big fan of testing the radios, try to find the plug, make sure everything's coming on. There's a bit of risk involved. Is there a simple way to see if the lightning arrestor is still good in your antenna switch, Steve?
If you carried a little ohm meter in your pocket, a little multimeter about yay big, about so big, you could, check it to see if there's if the lightning arrestor has flashed over, and it will cause a short. And so your center conductor to your shield would be shorted, unless the antenna switch had a ground position. If it, some antenna switches have a neutral position that will ground it. But for the most part, it should short out once it's been flashed over. So, and if you had one of those, where you can check the continuity between okay, the common connector versus the ABC, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's one quick way. But I don't carry an ohm meter in my pocket when I go to the Hamfest, so it's kind of like, well, you kind of take it for the for what it's worth.
Yeah, buyer beware, I guess, is all you can really say about that one. All right, if you have a question you'd like us to think about and help you with, you're welcome to put a Q in front of it and put it down there in the chat. And in about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to open up the back door. Oh, I knew it was coming.
The back door at the Browns Motel.
My
There you go.
apologies there. Yeah, I didn't know if...
Is that why it's called the Browns Motel? I don't know.
I don't know, man. We're getting into the weeds a little bit here now. But yeah, I'm going to put the key. Let me say that differently. I'm going to put the key, and we'll probably wrap the show, but open the door and do a little after here if we can hang out, because we had such a heavy topic and want to open it up for people to come in and say hello if you like. But Steve, what I'm going to do is I just dropped the key. It's under the rock behind the mat. So if you do come in here and visit with us today, close the door. It's only 42 degrees, and we'll let the cat out and all that sort of stuff. We got Willie over there. Willie can't get out in the streets. So close the door, grab yourself a beverage, come on in and say hello if you like. The key's under the mat. I wanted to see if you guys had seen this story about the Japanese robot that can peel a banana. Did you see this?
What?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Most of the time, it's in Tokyo. They've got robots now, and they say it takes a little while. It takes them a little while. I guess it's a him. I don't know. But robots in Japan, they are on factory floors. They do all kinds of simple tasks. They deliver food. We know we've seen them detonate bombs and things like that are happening in different ways. So these robots, they've been working on one now that can take two hands and peel a banana. And I thought, oh, okay, this is the researchers at the University of Tokyo. And I don't know what use that really is, but I think they're trying to show the dexterity, if that's the right word, for a robot to be able to peel a banana. I guess it's interesting. All these topics that we talk about, I created a new page on the website, 100 Watts and a Wire. It's called Show Notes, I think it's called. And if you want to go see the articles and the things we're talking about, any ideas? It took 12 to 13 hours of training for this robot to peel a banana. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
I'm kind of thinking, why stop at the banana? How about, open up a bag of gummies for Gummy?
Open up a bag of...
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I mean, let's do something productive.
Yeah, it's interesting technology that they're working on. And so you can see the link to the show if you're listening to this and you're like, what is that all about? It's real. This came out, it was Reuters put this out. Now, if they can find one that will come and wax the carrot, then I'm like, oh, I want to. How much does that cost? That might
Maybe
be.
that's what they're working towards there. You're doing it with the banana.
Just go down to the
first.
Browns Motel. You'll probably find it.
There's a new robot at the Browns Motel. It will wax your carrot, peel your banana. What I can hear the commercials now. It's a big
Operated banana peeler right next to the coin-operated bed.
Oh, girl. Hey, it's Charlie at the front desk of the Brown Hotel. You asked about that BNC connector? I got you, girl. Don't forget about the robot in the closet.
And
Peel your banana.
And we have our personal driver that will take you there, pick
Got a
you up at the
driver.
airport.
Get you there, get you to the airport, and your boyfriend will be in room 2 with the robot waxing the camera. I don't know. I got a lot of problems, man. I don't know how it continues to go, but there you go. The Browns Motel. It's on the route. We're going to work all rooms, so to speak.
Nice one, Richard.
You guys can.
That's
Part of
the
the
autopilot from
Frank Zappa's
airplane.
Joe's garage with the robot sex bot in the hotel
It's a
room.
real thing, man. I'll you guys think I'm making it up just for sexy time jokes, but here it's here for the people that are here. I'll put it down in the chat there. It's a real
Join
thing.
us
It's
in the Discord, and we have pictures of the Brown Motel, at least from the outside, from the street. So,
all right.
Gummy will have to, get the inside photos for us.
So what we'll do is we'll polish this one off, so to speak. You got a robot to polish this one off. Oh no. This is just, it's always, sorry, Sherry.
I'm
We'll
glad
see you.
I'm not going into Sherry's office.
Yeah, it's me this time. Now I'm like, jeez.
The
worked
boss is
all
going
in.
into the boss's office.
We're going in there.
Yeah.
You made this a public company and it's traded now and there's millions of dollars at stake. And you said something about a hotel and a glory hole and a broken window. Can you explain that? Yeah, I could. All right. Any questions you may have, put a Q in front of it. We're going to wrap the show up here. We'll go into overtime and we'll just hang out with you here. We'll end the podcast version, send that off, and all will be as well. But you're welcome to stop by and say hello. We'll hang out for a few extra minutes here and come say hello, sort of a post-show meet and greet. My thanks to Steve, Sidecar Steve. That's W7UDI in Washington State. Remember, there's a couple things I need to tell you about. Of course, I'm going to say thank you to Scotty, but there's a couple other things I want to mention before we go. Good news. A lot of Ukrainians are heading back to Kyiv this weekend, and we've got word that United X-Ray 5, United Oscar, it's a QSL printing service that they plan to resume operation. So hopefully this is a good sign.
Nice.
That they're on the turn here. I hope so. And we also want to let you know about the Sunday Evening Net and live stream. Last weekend, there were 113 check-ins. 113 check-ins between
Total,
20,
yes.
40, and we did, FT8? FT8, did I get it right? Scotty on 40 meters there. So you're welcome to join us again. There will be a live stream on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock Central Time. Come join the fun if you like to. And a reminder about, we've been talking about Discord. We've been talking about Facebook. Find your people. If you came by today and you thought, these people are pretty cool. They care about these topics. And then they're also a little, interesting themselves. They're,
Like glory holes.
they're
they need
interesting.
They need professional help.
And again, the show notes, I'm going to try to get anything that we talk about, the special events, the contest, anything like that, the robot that peels and waxes your carrot, all these things are in there. If you don't believe it, you go to the show notes page and you can see it. We do have another question here. Thank you from James. We'll try to pick this up real quick again.
Yeah,
Let me read it
haven't heard
first
about
for the
that
folks
one.
at home. Do you guys use Anna/GAL antenna analyzer program? Wait a minute. I got to read this. I don't understand what that is, but I guess I should read these first before it sounds.
yeah.
We haven't heard about that. Got it. All right. And hello to Todd. Todd came by today. We finally have made the contact together and exchanged our QSL cards. It's nice to work you. Thank you for stopping by, Michael. Appreciate you guys coming here, James. And we have Richard, Ben, of course. A lot of friends stop by today. And, of course, our podcast listeners, you're always welcome to join the live show. All right. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Steve. We'll hang out a little bit extra time here, but this portion is going out to the people. I'll say 7-3. May the dogs run by your side. My thanks to Meredith also for raising the quality and at least the seriousness of our show to talk about mental health issues today. We appreciate her. Hopefully she'll come back. If she heard the last 10 minutes of the show, ain't a chance in hell. Ain't a
Probably
chance.
not.
Not coming
I'm outta
back.
here.
So I gotta
Yep.
keep myself together. If I'm like, just give 12 minutes, 12 possible good minutes, and hopefully she won't watch the rest, but we'll never hear from her.
Thank you again, Meredith, for being with us. That was
Great
awesome.
segment.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll say 7-3. And by all means, if you can, whatever you do, all the static, all the noise, please try and stay above the noise. 73, guys, 7-3.
7-3, everyone.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.